Hola. I wanted to go over with you guys chapters 4, 5, and 6 of Feminista Jones, Reclaiming Our Space. How black feminists are changing the word from the tweets to the streets. Um, so far, this book has been a really good read. Over the first three chapters, we address black feminism and how it's different from white feminism and the different hashtags that were created by black women and the different trends that were created by black women. I did not know that it was a black woman that started the threads and tweeting. I also did not know that a lot of the hashtags that were created were indeed created by black women. It also goes on to talk about how black women are kind of hidden in the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as in the feminist movement. And so this is why black feminism must exist. So when we move on to chapter 4, we're talking about the influencers. In this chapter, Feminista Jones, she gives a overview of her resume, if you will, or her job background, about how she used to write for Ebony. And I really didn't know. I'm not going to tell y'all because I really want y'all to read the book and support. So I'm not going to sit here and give you guys blow for blow so you guys can, skim past not reading this book and showing support to our fellow sister. But I did not know that Ebony went through all those things that Ebony went through. I also did not know that Essence was petty either. I mean, it's disappointing. It's disappointing when you see that, a whole bunch of black businesses with the same objective, doing like little nasty petty things amongst each other, or taking advantage of the writers and contributors and stuff like that. But it happens. It is what it is. um Sometimes it be your own people. More times than not, it be your own people, because you win. That's your crowd. But yeah, so chapter 4 talks about the influencers. It talks about how like the whole influences and the trendsetters things started on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. I can never really get on the wave. Like, obviously I'm just now starting to make videos, but I think like it's a pretty cool movement, and I love the fact that it's giving black women the platform that they deserve, because I always thought that it was trash that it was so many things in place against the black woman, or just black people, or just poor people in general, from having a voice, having their image seen, their creativity seen, because they couldn't afford a degree, or they don't rub shoulders with certain kinds of people because they don't make that kind of money to rub shoulders with those kind of people and things like that. And everybody knows, when you think of like lower income, you usually think of people of color, women of color, and it just is really annoying that like a lot of the trends come from lower income urban neighborhoods and lower income black women. Like, being frank with you guys, a lot of trends that are out, a lot of clothing styles, hairstyles, jewelry styles, all those things are from black women. And, it's just unfortunate that, it's coming from a neighborhood where these trends are big, and these women don't have money to benefit from the things that they have. And now that we have the social media platform, we can do those things. I think that's super dope. It's super dope, seeing Feminista Jones, reading about her journey, or about the different things that she wrote, and the different topics that she discussed when it came to black women, and when it came to different things that black women do, different trends that we like and stuff like that. And then she goes on to talk about how she did like a sex article, and that's what she kind of talks about in chapter 5, which is called Talk Like Sex. She goes on and talks about how she tried to research sex in the black community, going back to like slavery times, and how like during those times, slavery and segregation and Jim Crow and apartheid and all those things, how during all those times black women were hypersexualized, but we were sexualized for the benefit of the white man. And how black men were also sexualized for the benefit of the white man. When you come to like, black men being raped, black men and black women being forced to have sex with one another while, white people watched, for breeding purposes, for entertainment purposes, for torture purposes, whatever, what have you. Black women being raped by, white people or black men alike, while the, white people watched. Or, just during time, just black women being raped, period. And so, like, she was saying how it's kind of crazy how, during these times, you don't really see too many images of black men and black women having control of their bodies and their sexualities. And it's just kind of hard to kind of get a full idea of where we come from sexually and what our history is like sexually, because our history has been taken away from us for a long time. It was whipped from us. Our language wasn't allowed to be spoken. Our songs weren't allowed to be sang. Our stories weren't allowed to be told. Our language wasn't allowed to be spoken. And we weren't allowed to congregate with one another in public places to exchange those things and be cultural around each other. We had to sneak, different methods. And even then, after a while, those things got watered down. And even to this day, a lot of the things that we used as secret codes to communicate with each other are now trendsetters among the white community as just a beautiful style. And they created a whole name for it. And nobody really understands like the backdrop story. Moving forward, it's just, it's disheartening to see that, like, we don't have those kind of stories. And it's interesting because, on some G shit, I never thought about it. I don't know why I never thought about it. What was weird is like, whenever I watch like slave movies and stuff, I think The Roots was my favorite one. I had a sixth grade teacher. His name was Mr. Malamed, and he was like the first and only teacher that made me watch Roots, like all of Roots, like the old ones and then the new age ones, all of that. We watched all of that, and watching all of that, that was the first time I ever saw like personality and happiness and rebellion and all, and just like a person with a slave. That was like the first time I was ever be able to put like the human to the slave narrative. And that's crazy. So I could only imagine how hard it was to find out about what sex was like. And then it goes on to talk about how in the black patriarchy, we kind of keep up that mindset that, a black woman is supposed to dress like this and talk like this and walk like this and dance like that. And, she's supposed to carry herself a certain kind of way. And when you hear the word feminist, you think of a man hater, a bitch. She's too aggressive, bossy, this, that, and the third. The idea of feminism and feminists and womanists in the black patriarchy is not okay, because it's just that idea. It's just what you think, like a promiscuous, aggressive woman, and that's not a woman that is submissive to the black patriarchy. That's a problem. This is why black feminism must exist. But yeah, so she was just talking about her experience with that and writing about BDSM and how some people didn't fully understand why a black woman would be so comfortable or intrigued or turned on by BDSM given our history during slavery. And she gave like a unique twist to it, talking about how it's because, like, not it's because, but there's a possibility that it may help with facing those things head on. Maybe the fact that you have control now and you can say no now, and now it's voluntary, is kind of like a healing process within itself. I'm not sure. Me personally, I'm not really into BDSM as like the whole thing. I do like, to be aggressively handled. I like little things, I guess, light work. I don't know. I'm not gray. I'm more like a really faint black. I don't know. So I don't know. But yeah, it's a lot of judgment that comes with that about women that like that. And honestly, I know a lot of women that like that. I'm not really a big fan of like the actual engagement of sex being rough, but like foreplay and stuff is cool. Um, she had wrote a book. It's called Push the Button, and it's a mm, I believe this is one of her writings about BDSM. So this is not her first book. She has written other things. She had a blog called Knob Slobbing Feminism, and that was hashtag KSFem. And that's when she just, told different kind of stories and gave different kinds of advice. She addresses how, like, in films and such, like, the black woman is always seen as, the mammy, or, the sidekick to the Caucasian friend that's trying to find her sexual deviance, or, independence, but she's like the prudish friend. We're not really seen as sexualized. We're either like grandmoms, or we're strippers on the pole and we're being pimped out. Either way, we don't have control over our bodies. We don't have control over our sexuality. It's kind of being controlled for us. And I just think the fact that she spoke on it was pretty cool, because nobody really speaks on, I won't say nobody. I might go through this whole rabbit hole of sex and sexuality, because I have a really weird relationship with sex. I don't know if it's a relationship that I want to heal. I am in a relationship though, so it's probably a relationship that I should heal for my other relationship. Um, but yeah, so that was what that chapter was about. And then the chapter 6 is Black Girls Are Magic, and she had a wonderful interview. Well, first of all, she talks about Black Girls Are Magic, and she has a dope ass quote by Cardi B, like a little segment thing, and it says, being a feminist is such a great thing, and some people feel like someone like me can't be as great as that. But then some people are smart, but they don't have no common sense. They think feminism is great, and only a woman that can speak properly, that has a good degree, who is a boss, a business person, they think only Michelle Obama can be a feminist. But being a feminist is real simple. Is that a woman can do things the same as a man. Anything a man can do, I can do. I can finesse, I can hustle. We have the same freedom. I was top of the charts. I am a woman and I did that. I do feel equal to a man. Real shit. Real shit. Being a feminist is not about conquering black patriarchy. It's not about getting rid of men. We still love our black men. These black men are our brothers, our husbands, our sons, our uncles, our fathers. For those who are watching now, they see us like that. Kind of like, I really resonated with that because of the first 3 chapters that I read in this book, when they were talking about the different hashtags, and particularly the hashtag solidarity is for white women. Because if you look at me and you say, hey, I'm here for this feminist movement, you're my sister, you also have to look at my sons, my brothers, my husband, my cousins, my uncles as well, because they are me and we are one. And the fact that you can't do that in the white feminist movement is an issue within itself. In this chapter, she goes on to talk about her relationship with God and her relationship with Christianity and religion. And as you guys know, that Christianity was beaten into black people. This is not our divine religion. This is not, what we came with. This is something that was forced upon us to keep us enslaved. Even to this day, this religion still keeps us enslaved. It keeps us still waiting and praying and going to external limited sources for God, instead of going within and finding the God within us and getting the answers that we need to get from within. For those of you who are following my Metu Netter book club with my son Ezekiel, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. This Christianity has made us do the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing, of what our original religion calls for us to do. And that's why we have been very stagnant in our process, because the main pillars in our neighborhoods are the churches, and the churches keep us docile, whether or not the preachers know what they're doing. But I think in this age of information, being ignorant is a choice. That's where I'm at. I really want to start my own church. But anyway, moving forward. So she just talks about her relationship with God and her relationship with religion and Christianity. And, she goes on to talk about how, black people have survived so many things and how our culture traditions have survived so many things. The diaspora, the Americas and Jim Crow and all those things, and how we have cleverly disguised, our things. Because if you look at Christianity to this day versus what it was supposed to be, we have kind of sort of implanted our divine, teachings and readings and knowledge into Christianity. However, so many of us are absent minded on that fact that even though that is still embedded in Christianity, people don't recognize it and they're still, practicing it for what it is. But she goes on to talk about how, like, during her period of time when she was becoming an adult, this was during the 90s hip hop era where people were wearing dashikis and everybody was Mother Earth and they were going to the motherland. Then you had kings and queens, which I think is beautiful and I think is dope because I see us going back through that replay. I say replay because I think about Jordan Peele in that episode with Sanaa Lathan. How great was that? And it's really like that's what's happening. Like when you don't learn your lesson, when you don't, come together and do what you're supposed to do to right the first time, you're gonna keep repeating history. Moving on though, and how calling one another queens, and it gave women, even though it's virtually impossible that every black person was a descendant of royalty, just given the fact that, calling each other kings and queens and gods and goddesses and Mother Earth and things like that, it gives us a sense of pride, a self-confidence. It builds our ego, and it teaches us self-love and love for our homeland, and where we come from. I think that I think it's wonderful that we do that. I'm a little lost on like the whole motherland thing because I do get mixed like feedback. I have had some people that live with the idea that Africa is not our motherland and Africans do not like us. Africans do not, want black people that are affected by the diaspora to celebrate African culture or practice African culture because we're seen as Americans. But then I also, me particularly on my social media page, I see the opposite of that. But, I think that's just based upon like the reality that you have around you. Um, but that was just like my little side note off of that because she goes on and talks about how she was introduced to the Yoruba religion, centered around worshiping the Orishas and the deities, which is awesome. That's where I'm at in my life right now, celebrating the Orishas and the deities. And speaking of, there is a independent community out in North Carolina, and I'm going to pull it up for you right now. I'm so sorry that I'm on my phone because this is low key trash, but I really want you guys to know about this. Okay, so I'm probably going to butcher this all the way through, but there is a women's festival. It's called Yamoja, and it is at the end of June, the weekend of June 28th. And if you guys go on my page, I will, after I put up this video, I will post the location and the link of this place. But the weekend of the 28th is the Women's Festival. And it is an an independent village. It is a independent Geechee village. And this is in 56 Bryant Lane in Seabrook, South Carolina. I'm sorry. And it's called the Oyotunji African Village. Oyotunji African Village. And I'm trying to go there the weekend of the 28th. I'll probably be there by myself, and I ain't even mad. I'm going. It'll be a whole women's festival that weekend. And I think, reading this book and reading a book that I read before this one, Rachel Hollis, Girl Stop Apologizing, and then turn around and reading this book about being a black feminist with that, stop apologizing mindset in my head. It's a nice transition, and I would like to bring this energy to the Women's Festival. Why not? So she goes on to talk about the creator of hashtag Black Girls Are Magic, Kashawn Thompson, and she is a native of DC. She's about 3 or 4 generations back from DC, and she talks about her story and her experience with the hashtag Black Girl Magic and the different triumphs and tribulations and achievements and all that fun stuff that has come with creating that hashtag. And it was a really good interview. It goes on for about 4 or 5 pages, more than that. And at the end, she asked her, well, what do you plan to continue to do with this trademark? And she, gives a really honest answer. She's really unsure, and just her experience with it thus far is kind of giving her the idea that, it might be a good idea to let it go because there's been so much issues with it thus far. And I think that's disheartening to have something that's like so positive and has such a positive message and then have it, turned around and misused so many ways and practically stolen, and you're not really getting the credit for it all. So I mean, you always have to chase people down to give you the credit for the things. Like, it just people shouldn't move like that. We shouldn't move like that, especially to each other. Don't gotta be your own people every time. But I want to read this last segment right here because when I first read it, it made my eyes burn because it's hot outside and my eyes be sweating a little bit when it get hot out. But okay, so if we are to believe Stevie Wonder's conception of magic, Black women hold the keys to every door throughout the universe. We are as magical as the poet's endless rhymes and galaxies in time. We fill you up without a bite and quench every thirst. If we are special, though, then why aren't we more careful with ourselves? And why does the world often seem to be proactively engaging in efforts to deny us the right to exist proudly with such glowing essence? The moment Black girls and women believe in our magic is the moment we cease being the reliant workaholic mules, the soothing, nurturing mammies, the all-knowing sage advisories, the stress-releasing punching bags, the stationary props on other people's sets. We believe in our right to say no without being convinced that saying no to others will translate into a lifetime of doors closing in our faces and opportunities fading away. I am one of them people that my method of attention that I get from others is from doing things for others. And when I say no to people, that makes people not want to be around. So yeah, so I always had like that fear of telling people no. And so I always would like sign myself up for more things than I, am capable of doing. And I still do it today because I just, is it a fear? Yeah, it's kind of a fear. It's kind of a fear of that realization that that person that's around you is only around you because I'm doing things for them. And I don't want to hit that reality that I'm actually being used until I'm not usable anymore. So I don't say no. And that's something that I have to work on. But I see a lot of women do that, and not just with like little things, but also with their bodies. I've been there before. You meet boys, and I'm not a boy. I don't know how boys are raised. I don't know what boys are taught or whatever, but as a girl, in my mind, it was like, I want attention and I want friends and I want these boys to like me. And in order for these boys to like me, this is what they like. So in order to get them to like me, I have to do things they like, and I can't say no, because if I say no, they're not going to like me. And that's not the objective here. The objective here is to be liked. And I'm not blaming nobody. It is my fault. That's my mindset that I had to choose to change, and I still haven't chosen to change it yet. It's hard. It's easier said than done because I don't want to be alone, and I don't want to live with that reality that like people are only around me as long as I'm doing stuff for them, or I'm, contributing in some sort of way, shape, or form. But in the same token, like, isn't that what, relationships are anyway? I don't know. That's my own thing. But anyway, so I want to move forward to the next paragraph. So hashtags like hashtag Black Girls Are Magic, or the more popular abbreviated version hashtag Black Girl Magic, serve as a call to action for Black women. They function as a reminder of our power and our unique beauty, internal and external. When Black girls and women make the news, breaking barriers and making history, we highlight their accomplishments with these hashtags. When Black girls and women show up for ourselves and for others, we want the world to know that this is who we are and how we have always been. We do not have to be supernatural or superhuman to be magic. We just need to be. The continuation of our mere existence is magical in itself, and the ways in which we are able to shine and thrive against all odds should be honored and celebrated. What started as a hashtag has transformed into a movement that has changed how we speak about Black girls and women, and the world is beginning to see us and appreciate us for all our contributions to forward progress. There is so much that would not exist were it not for us, and sometimes we just need a reminder that we are indeed magic. And sometimes we do. I love it when every now and then I get like that, hey queen, hello. That's always nice. It's always a nice reminder that, somebody sees me larger than where I'm at. I am my biggest critic, and I don't think anybody can put me down any worse than what I already do for myself in my own head. I live in my head 24/7, so it's just like it's nice to hear an outside voice like appreciate you and tell you that you are magic and you are doing great things and you are, you're great without having to carry that strong Black woman narrative, because that gets tiring and that becomes burdensome. And that was one of the fears when Black Girl Magic was established, that, aren't we putting another burden on Black women to be above and beyond and put more shit on their plate while, Black men or other, individuals of other races, they don't have to. They don't have to, as long as there's a strong Black woman in the room. Like, what else do you need, right? So tired of that narrative. So tired of the strong Black woman narrative. Another one of the fears with the Black Girls Are Magic one was the fact that, everyday women didn't feel a part of that. And then you had some women and some men that really tried to like single some women out of this movement. Like, oh, if you have a bunch of kids, if you ain't go to school, if you live in the hood, if you're on welfare, if you have multiple baby daddies, just nonsense. And it's just like, no, Black Girl Magic is for everyone. If you are a Black girl, you are magic. That's it. If you're in jail, if you have 5 baby daddies and 5, 6 kids, so the fuck what? If you're on welfare, if you're on WIC, if you ain't got no car, if you're in unemployment line, if you got a job, if you at CVS, McDonald's, I don't give a fuck. You are a Black girl and you are magic, because you are doing magical things. You are turning 5 cents into $50, and that's fucking magic. So, no deed is too small. Don't belittle yourself in the things that you do every day, because just remember, you're doing something that somebody else isn't. So, that's magic in itself. Always uplift yourself no matter what. Also something else that I've been working on, but I'm actually doing really good on that one. So that's it for the next 3 chapters, 4, 5, and 6. I have, let me look, because I don't want to lie with you. I have 7, 8, 9. I'll just read the rest of the book, because it's really nothing. It's really just 70 more pages, 60 pages, chapters 7 through 11. And I'm going to read the rest of that, and I should have a video. If not by this weekend, then by next week, I'll have like a full, the rest of the book overview. I hope you guys do pick this book up. It's called Reclaiming Our Space, and it's by Feminista Jones. She is a author from Philly, and she is Black Girl Magic, and she's doing Black Girl Magic. And I love the fact that she's shedding so much light on so many great women and the things that they're doing in today's world. It really like opened up like a new eye for me. I realized it, but I didn't know names. Like, when you know names and specifics of what these Black women are doing and the things that they're achieving, it changes it for you. Like, oh, we out here doing way more than I thought we was. You know what I mean? It just brings a whole another sense of pride to being a Black woman. And, referring back to my Metsu Netter book, that I'm reading, it's like, it's hard to learn about a civilization without learning about the people that built it and why they move the way they do. When you learn the psychology of the people that's building the things, then you learn to appreciate it. So you have to know who started all these movements and who started all these hashtags. You have to know these women so you can understand their mindset and why they did it the way they did it and how they did it. You know what I mean? So when you learn that foundation, it makes the action make sense. And I'm finally putting the foundation to the action, and it feels good. It does. It really does. It's very empowering to read this book. And I want to thank Feminista Jones for this, because this is great. And this is opening up a whole wormhole for me to dig more into current modern women that are making big moves right now. Because, I mean, on some ignorant shit, I'm not even going to lie to you, because it is ignorance. I didn't really hold the movements that's going on today on Twitter and on Instagram and Facebook at as much of a high regard as the movements in the past, because the movements from the past aren't people just sitting at home, sitting on their computers, and that's it. But keeping it 100, these hashtag movements and stuff, they have been, making things pop. They have been making things happen. I mean, it's an easy way to go about doing things, but, it is effective, and you can't deny the effectiveness of it, regardless of how easy it is now. You know what I mean? So that's ignorance on my part. I'm building on me, I'm getting there. I'm a work in progress. I ain't perfect. My duality is a little trash. But that's about it. That's all I got going on. I'm gonna get back with you guys about that. Make sure you guys check out the Let's Nobodies page. I have my jewelry and my artwork for the Pluto retrograde, for Gemini season, Taurus. If you just want Taurus jewelry because you're a Taurus, or you love Taurus, or you know a Taurus, I have Taurus jewelry up there. Ironically, my Taurus jewelry also goes to the heart chakra. So if you into your heart chakra, I got some rose quartz and green stones. I have a lot of great things on my page. If you go and look at the rest of the videos on my YouTube page, you will see my overview of the Gemini season and different crystals and things Let's Nobodies has to offer. Also, tomorrow is the launch for pre-orders for my children's book. If you go on my Let's Nobodies page on Instagram, you'll see my overview and my little trailers for my book and stuff. And I'm about to do another trailer for my book once I have like all the details and set. And then I'll be in DC this month for the launch with a publishing company and with my book. So like great things are happening. I'm very excited. So thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with me and listening to my kid in the background. And I hope you have a great week.